Tier 1 is military lingo for the absolute top-of-the-line Special Forces unit. Think the elite of the elites. These guys execute black ops, high-value target takedowns, direct action, and long-range reconnaissance. Today, we'll talk about some of the most elite Tier 1 units from around the world in no particular order, who they are, what they do, and what makes them stand out. The United States Tier 1 landscape is full of elite units, but the intelligence support activity stands alone, the ultimate intel ghost in the whole command. This is a unit of about 300 men formed in 1981. They are expert in gathering human and signal intelligence through field agent contacts and intercepting communications to support operations of Delta Force and DevGRU. These operators frequently collaborate with JSOC and CIA. They are often multilingual and skilled in various intelligence gathering techniques. Before the start of the war in Afghanistan, the ISA operators, codenamed Grey Fox, were deployed. They also played a crucial role in reconnaissance before the raid that took out bin Laden. The unit played a key role in the search for Saddam Hussein during the Iraq War in 2003. Most of the operators come from other units like Green Berets. These guys go through a rigorous assessment and selection process. Once selected, they undergo specialized training courses covering infiltration techniques, offensive off-road driving, deep surveillance, tradecraft, hand-to-hand combat, human and signals intelligence. Alright, let's jump into Israel's top-tier special ops unit, Sayeret Matkal. The General Staff Reconnaissance Unit, or Sayeret Matkal, is Israel's elite special ops force, better known as the unit. Like a lot of elite units, it took heavy inspiration from the British SAS, right down to borrowing their legendary motto, "Who dares wins." Established in 1957, its main job was long-range reconnaissance behind enemy line. In its early years, the unit focused on gathering intel and pulling off covert missions. Over time, they leveled up, becoming a multi-purpose unit specializing in counter-terrorism and high-risk special operations. Now, as with any Tier 1 special ops unit, getting in isn't a walk in the park. Twice a year, Sayeret Matkal runs a brutal selection process that's notorious for pushing recruits to their absolute limits. Think Navy SEALs Hell Week, but with an extra dose of misery. Candidates go through several days of near zero sleep, and those who somehow survive move on to a grueling 20-month training program, including survival tactics and long-range solo navigation drills. From the very first major battles of the IDF, the unit has been instrumental. It played a massive role in Israel's lightning-fast victory during the Six-Day War, and during the Lebanese Civil War, they handled some serious badass missions. The unit shot to international fame after the 1972 Munich Olympics incident when Israel launched Operation Wrath of God. Then, there's Operation Thunderbolt in 1976, arguably one of the most legendary hostage rescues ever. It was the kind of mission that cemented their reputation as world's most premier force. Big shout out to Personal Defense Network for sponsoring this video. If you're serious about personal defense, or just starting to dip your toes into it, PDN is the go-to online resource. They've got a stacked lineup of videos, live training events, and expert-led courses covering everything from home defense strategies to everyday carry tactics. I've personally picked up some solid skills from their instructional videos, whether it's refining my draw technique or getting a better handle on situational awareness. And the best part? They're always rolling out fresh content, so there's always something new to learn. If you're not a member yet, now's the time to jump in. This offer is only for new members. So if you're looking to sharpen your skills with trusted experts breaking things down step by step, Personal Defense Network has your back. Check them out. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Personal Defense Network for only $1.49. That's a huge discount compared to the normal price at $112. Now, let's get back to the next unit. UK's Special Air Service, SAS. It's not just British, it's basically the world's premier fighting force. Several special forces around the globe are modeled after this badass unit. The SAS has some serious history behind it. Kicking things off in 1941, they got their start in the deserts of North Africa during World War II. These guys have racked up an insane reputation with missions like the Iranian embassy siege, the Gulf War, and the GWOT. Their motto, "Who dares wins," says it all. These folks don't mess around and have set the bar sky high for anyone else. Most of SAS operators come from the Royal Marines and Parachute Regiment. Selection takes place twice a year, and out of about 200 candidates, only a handful, like 10%, make the cut. Once recruits tough it out through the selection and earn their wings, the real training begins. A huge chunk of it goes down at a place nicknamed the Killing House. Yeah, it's as intense as it sounds. This is where SAS hone their CQB skills. These guys also train for wild scenarios like storming hijacked trains or aircraft. And when it comes to sneaking behind enemy lines, they're absolute ninjas. In short, the SAS doesn't just train to fight, they train to be ghosts and absolute badasses in every situation. Alright, next up on the list, we've got Russia's FSB Spetsnaz. Alpha Group, or FSB Spetsnaz, is like a Swiss Army knife of special units. Part spy, part counterinsurgency, and part all-around badass commando squad. This Tier 1 unit falls under Russia's FSB. Their first headline-grabbing mission? Storming the presidential palace in Kabul during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Back in the 80s and 90s, these guys were everywhere, busting rebels, rescuing hostages, and taking out kidnappers. Today, the unit has about 250 operators, plus a few small regional teams dispersed across the country. The group is broken into specialized departments, each with its own mission profile. They've been knee-deep in conflicts like the Chechen Wars and gained global attention for pulling off intense hostage rescues. Their motto? Win and come back. Getting into Alpha Group isn't just tough, it's a whole other level. The selection process is brutal, and training? It's a 3-year grind. Recruits tackle infantry tactics, parachuting, diving, sniper work, CQB, martial arts, and even foreign languages. If you make the cut, you're basically an action movie hero in real life. Alright, with Alpha Group in the book, let's shift gears and talk about another heavy hitter from the US, Delta Force. Delta operators stand at the tip of the spear of the entire US military, a clandestine force whose existence unacknowledged by the US government. But they are known by a string of codenames: 1st Operational Detachment Delta, CAG, ACE. Since their inception in 1977, stories of the Delta Force's exploits and missions have leaked out, little by little, eventually forming a brief sketch of the unit. During Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada, their actions played a key role in restoring stability to the region. Delta Force stands as one of 2 military units in the US entrusted with Black Ops missions. Much like its counterpart, the Navy's DevGRU, Delta Force stands ready for deployment at a moment's notice. But here's where it gets intriguing. Unlike DevGRU, Delta Force operates under the radar, officially non-existent. Deltas are selected from the Green Berets and Army Rangers. Legend has it that a Delta recruit must exhibit 100% accuracy in shooting from 600 yards and 90% accuracy from 1,000 yards. Delta Force consists of 4 combat squadrons. These squadrons consist of smaller units called troops, which specialize in airborne, ground, and water insertion. Ultimately, troops can split into small mission teams of up to 12 people and as few as 1. Next up is another Tier 1 unit from Russia, FSB Vymple. You might know them by one of their many names: Spetsgrupa V, Vymple, or even the KGB's old Vega group. These guys are basically the quiet professionals you never see coming. Back in 1981, they were created as Alpha Group's more aggressive cousin, specializing in sabotage missions outside the Soviet Union. Fast forward to today, and their playbook has changed. Now, they're all about counter-terrorism and safeguarding Russia's nuclear assets. They've likely been knee-deep in hotspots like Syria and the Ukraine too. Their emblem says it all: a sword piercing a shield, with the Russian Cyrillic letter V. That's V to us. Simple, sharp, and intimidating, just like their ops. Their roots go back to the KGB's Special Ops Division, and that old-school cloak and dagger vibe still runs deep. Training-wise, they go through the same grind as their Spetsnaz brothers in the FSB, but with extra focus on counter-terror work. The entry bar is high. You've got to put in at least 2 years with a regular Spetsnaz unit before applying. Most of their missions are highly classified, but here's what we do know. They specialize in deep cover intel gathering, covert ops behind enemy lines, taking down strategic targets, boarding enemy vessels, and securing diplomatic outposts. These guys are the ultimate shadow warriors. Quiet, deadly, and always on mission. Next on this list is Canada's Elite Joint Task Force 2, JTF-2 is a relatively new unit, founded in 1993. After 9/11, the unit expanded quickly, and today it boasts several hundred highly trained operators. These guys are tasked with protecting Canada's national interests, both at home and abroad. They are often stacked up against the likes of Delta Force and the SAS. The unit operates under tight secrecy, with the Canadian government staying quiet on its missions, sparking controversy over its largely unknown operations abroad. One of their most jaw-dropping moments came in June 2017, when a JTF-2 sniper made history by taking out an ISIL fighter from an insane distance of 2.2 miles. That's the longest confirmed kill ever recorded. JTF-2 has been deployed all over the world, supporting Allied forces. Because of their elite skills and tight discipline, they're one of the most highly requested units among Allied nations. With Joint Task Force 2 covered, let's head down under and talk about Australia's Special Air Service Regiment, also known as the Chicken Stranglers. Because of their survival skills and ability to live off the grid, SASR is a versatile Tier 1 unit of Australia. Established in 1957, the unit was modeled after the British SAS. SASR was initially created to serve as a reconnaissance unit during the Malayan Emergency. They are expert in long-range reconnaissance and intelligence-gathering missions. During the Vietnam War, they earned the nickname Phantoms of the Jungle for their stealthy maneuvers. They are also deployed in both the Persian Gulf and Afghanistan wars, and since 2001, they've been extensively involved in the War on Terror. The SASR has one of the most infamous selection processes. It consists of 3 weeks of near torture involving a series of challenges such as forced marches that include scaling almost impossible terrain with a full pack, navigation exercises, and endurance tests. SASR often cross-trains with other elite units, including the US Navy SEALs, Germany's GSG-9, and of course, the British SAS. Next up, we've got JW Grom from Poland. That name loosely translates to the military unit Operational Maneuvering Response Group. But the real kicker, Grom means thunder in Polish. And trust me, these guys bring the storm. Grom traces its roots back to a legendary unit named Silent Unseen, a group of exiled Polish paratroopers from World War II. Fast forward to 1990, and the modern Grom unit was born after Operation Bridge, a mission to help the Soviet Jews immigrate to Israel. They operated in the shadows until 1994, when they finally hit the public radar during their deployment to Haiti for Operation Restore Democracy. Grom handle all sorts of high-risk missions. These guys aren't just trigger pullers, they're weapons experts, elite medics, and masters of just about every military discipline you can think of. Whether it's taking down terrorists or hunting war criminals, one thing's for sure, Grom lives up to its name. Next on our list is Germany's Kommando Spezialkräfte, or KSK. It's a heavyweight brigade-level unit in the German army. We're talking black ops and high-value target takedowns. This unit is split into 4 commando companies, each packing around 100 highly trained operators. The first platoon is all about vehicle insertions. The second platoon is specialized in airborne insertions. The third platoon takes the fight to the amphibious operations, while the fourth platoon is built for extreme environments, from scorching deserts, dense jungles, mountains, to freezing Arctic terrain. Each platoon is broken down into 4 commando squads, and every squad is made up of 4 elite operators. Each squad member has a specialized role. The KSK selection has 2 phases. First, a brutal 3-week test wipes out 60% of the candidates. Those left face a grueling 3-month endurance phase in the Black Forest, with a brutal 90-hour cross-country trek and a combat survival course. Only 8 to 10% make it through. Survive that, and you enter KSK's legendary 2 to 3 year training, hitting up elite courses worldwide. Arctic survival in Norway, mountain warfare in Austria, desert combat in Israel, amphibious ops in San Diego, and jungle warfare in Belize. Last but not least, we've got the GRU Spetsnaz. They are the tip of the spear when it comes to espionage, recon, sabotage, counterintelligence, and even taking out high-profile targets. Earning a spot in the unit isn't just about checking the basic training box. Their training is brutal in many ways. Their emblem, a bat silhouetted against a globe, gives off serious Dark Knight vibes, symbolizing how they operate, stealthily, silent, and everywhere. Training isn't just about running laps or doing push-ups, though. The GRU Spetsnaz have been around the block, pulling off missions in Angola, Beirut, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Cambodia. During the Vietnam War, they pulled off an incredible heist that sounds straight out of a spy thriller. Picture this. A squad of just 9 operators sneaks into a top-secret US airbase in Vietnam. Their target? A shiny new Super Cobra attack helicopter. Not only did they steal the chopper and ship it back to the Soviet Union, but they also made sure the rest of the helicopters on the base were destroyed. And that's a wrap on some of the elite Tier 1 units in the world. Let us know if you'd like us to make a video on Tier 1 units in the world's best navies.